Well into 2025 now, we examine which ism has lost out and which one is winning. If you look at the Western world, leftism is mostly finished, at least for now. Not just political left, but also the social left. Britain is an exception, though, given the challenge Keir Starmer faces and amid attacks from Elon Musk supported hard right, the Labour also looks like an endangered species. The right, at the same time, isn't in great shape either, at least the political right that we've been familiar with all this while. In the US, the Republicans have fallen to a Trumpian insurgency. If one tracks Trump's utterances and tweets lately, please see this tweet that comes up on your screens. Most people he abuses are Republicans, fellow Republicans. Bird brain, Nikki Haley. Dumb as a rock, John Bolton. Disloyal warmonger, Dick Cheney and his psycho daughter, Liz. Charles Koch's Americans for No Prosperity. Mitt Romney, his former cabinet officers such as Jim Mattis, Mark Esper, he spells Jesper in fact, and so on, all of whom he accuses of suffering from TDS or Trump derangement syndrome. It's not about Republican Party or its ideology. You don't see him throwing any such abuse at the old left. That's because, in his insurgent view, the old right is even more immoral than the Democrats. Trump's MAGA, that is Make America Great Again, MAGA Republicans are as ideologically distant from the traditional GOP as from the Democratic left. Ruchir Sharma, in his latest Financial Times column, underlines that last year 85% of the incumbents lost elections in developed countries that went to the polls. In all of these, I would add, the new ideology that moved in wasn't any of the old isms, or at least old isms as we know them. This is true of France and Italy as well. Odds are the same new reality will play out in Germany as well, or at least to a major extent. As the left faces massive rejection, the right has been redefined and the idea of the center right is in deep distress. If all isms taught to us till now, leftism, rightism, and centrism, are dying or going into deep coma, what is winning? What is replacing them? This brings back to me a popular Sona Mahapatra song from some years back, "Ek naye kisam ka ism," a new kind of ism. "Ek naye kisam ka ism," a new kind of ism. Of course, lyricist Ram Sampat's words tugged at our heartstrings to junk all the bad, divisive isms and discover a new one that will unite our jisms. That's our beings. That's too romantic for politics. At the same time, there cannot be a vacuum of ideas in democracies. Fact is, if Sona Mahapatra sang for a new kind of ism, one has indeed risen now. It is called populism. Across the world, the left, right, and the center are being devastated by populism. Of course, it is customized for different nations, different electorates, and societies. In the developed world, particularly the Western world, it includes mass deportations of immigrants, fear of alien cultures and faiths, mostly Islam, that do not assimilate, hypernationalism, trade protectionism, and just that search for that pinnacle of glory in your history or mythology. Trump, Giorgia Meloni, Viktor Orban, and Marine Le Pen are among the most successful populists. It would be an error to call them right wing. Nigel Farage's UK Reform Party is hoping to get there as well. Who fears it the most? It isn't the Labour. At least they have a comfortable majority, and in robust democracies, it's not possible to depose majority governments, elected majority governments through Arab Spring kind of operations or Dhaka kind of operations. Street power doesn't usually throw out governments, elected governments in robust democracies. That's why the Labour is still safer. The biggest threat is faced by the British Conservatives. Would UK reform do to them what Trump has done to the Republican Party in the US? That's the case Elon Musk is on. The beauty, charm, and success of populism lies in its ease of use, in how little it demands from your head or heart, wisdom or conscience. It is unencumbered by morality, carries no weight of history, and isn't confused by facts. At one level, it can be purely transactional, and we are seeing it play out in India. I will give you or your sister or your mother or daughter so much cash, and you all vote for me. Or You can travel free in our buses. Now somebody says in the metro as well. So many units of free power, free water, and so on. A little over a year ago, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was ridiculing this as reveries, wasteful giveaways, which distracted from the primary responsibility of elected leaders, which is governance. He was so correct and wise to take that position. He got off that curb, however, sooner than you would utter the word Karnataka. There's been a relentless rollback since then. If anything, the Bharatiya Janata Party is now leading the rest in promising more and more giveaways. They tasted success in Maharashtra. In Delhi now, they are offering women voters even more than the Aam Aadmi Party. This has gone to the extent that the BJP, India's most successful party and one with the best defined ideology or most sharply defined ideology, at least among the major contenders, is now counting more on what it can give away than even Hindutva or Hindutva based nationalism. We told you populism is unencumbered by old ideologies. Check out how forces of the left or center left, Congress most prominently, all started transactional politics. An ideology free party like the Aam Aadmi Party probably showed the way. Now the BJP and its partners are on the same bandwagon. The old isms divided them, but now they are all united by a new ism, that is populism. The burden for this is not on Rahul Gandhi, don't blame him, but the Mohabbat ki dukaan or a mart of love that he promised has now become a giant bazaar or reveries in which everybody comes and displays their wares for free. Broad spectrum populism is also anchored in emotional factors: religion, nationalism, culture, nostalgia, a belief that at some point in the past we were greater than we've been lately. There is no definition of that lately. It could be my life, my parents' life, or some life that I've heard about, or some yug that is written about in your scriptures. That's why people will vote to make America great again. Hasn't it been great since the Cold War was won? Or the reason enough people will buy into the idea of making India Sone ki Chidiya, the golden sparrow, again. It's the same thing. Populism promises what you've never seen before, but which, once you imagine, makes you feel good. These are then distilled further in sharply defined issues: immigration, irredentism, gender and race, or let's drop euphemisms, notion of racial purity or racial superiority. Immigration is a huge issue in the developed world. In India, that's the button CAA is pushing, and Rohingyas, whose total number is estimated at no more than 40 to 50,000, becomes such an issue. How irredentism plays out, see in Trump wanting to rename the Gulf of Mexico, taking back Panama Canal and acquiring Greenland. For India, it's the promise of taking back Aksai Chin and POK, and while it isn't talked about much these days, restoring the real glory of Akhand Bharat. Gender and race do not play out the same way in India as in the West, and thank God for that. India's safety valve is the diversity built into its essential electoral design and the multiplicity of vote banks where harping on one race or identity issue could alienate three others. Nevertheless, the direction in India is populism too. In 2014, Narendra Modi came to power on the promise of minimum government, maximum governance. We've seen the size of the government grow bigger year after year since then. We've seen the size of the government only grow since then. The promise of privatization is so completely forgotten, with the honorable exception of Air India apart, that now it is said with competitive pride that PSUs have never done better than under this government. As I write this, I see breathless celebration over the fact that the center is investing another rupees 11,440 crores in the PSU steel plant at Vizag, which has been on the divestment list now for years. What is populism if not throwing good money after bad if it pleases some voters?